Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for holding on and your patience. As she has said, you can throw up your questions. We have very erudite representation here to answer your questions and to also receive your comments on the way forward. Right now, we are looking at our time very well, and we are going to be inviting the third panel section. And we have, in no particular order, also Mr. Davidson Akimie to join us here. Oh, doctor, and Dr. Davidson Isibo Akimie, put your hands together. He's a successful entrepreneur employing over 8,000 people. He's the executive chairman of King David Group. He hails from Ekpoma, Edo State, and from his childhood had a strong drive for the military and paramilitary establishment. He began his military career as a boy soldier, and he also served as analyst for Africa and Middle East Affairs in the Strategic Intelligence Group of the Directorate of Military Intelligence in 1988 and worked within the Army till 1996 when he retired from the Ministry of Defense as an administrative officer in the headquarters camp of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps, NIC. Dr. Davidson Akimie was the national president of the Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria, the umbrella body of all registered and licensed private security companies in Nigeria. Recently, he declared his intention a few days ago in Abuja to run for office for the president. Thank you very much, and put your hands together once again. And I'm most honored today to be sitting here. In fact, it's a privilege to sit here while my godfather and a concrete representation of security in Nigeria. These are the people that took private security from the jaws and the claws of myopers. Okay, so thank you, sir, for your presence. And we're going to welcome also Dr. Cynthia Gregg. Put your hands together. Dr. Cynthia Gregg is the CEO of Safety Signatures. She's also a security expert of over 15 years of experience, a philanthropist that distinguished herself in her career, redefined the business of security of lives and property in Nigeria and across the world. She is a consultant, seasoned facilitator, trainer for local and foreign organizations. In the last 2 decades, Dr. Cynthia Gregg has made significant contributions to youth empowerment and self-development in Nigeria throughout the Social Intervention Initiative. Dr. Gregg is happily married and blessed with wonderful children. She loves teaching and singing. Thank you very much, madam, for your time. And we're going to welcome the last panelist who is supposed to be joining us online. So many people in the Nigerian security industry call him the Oracle. And I am happy to announce today that I projected that name, the Oracle. Let us put our hands together for Mr. Dennis Amakri, MON. Mr. Dennis Amakri is a principal partner at Homeland Security Solution. He's a security professional with 32 years experience in public and industrial practice in his career. He has been accountable for strategic leadership in security management, investigations, intelligence analysis, access protection, executive protection, risk and vulnerability assessment, private investigation, kidnap negotiation, security awareness training for hostile environment. He retired as an assistant director with the Nigerian Department of State Service. So thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Gregg. Thank you, Dr. Akimie. And Oga Dennis, the Oracle. We can see you gallantly. So we're going to be addressing a particular issue here. We want to look at private security in Nigeria vis-a-vis speaking to the issues, policy, and legislation. And these are key fallouts from the keynotes I'm so happy with that keynote address. I don't know how many people listen to it. I'm sure we can have access to that document, sir, so that because it's looking at the issues, policy, and legislation. So, as usual, we'll be very fair, feminine, direct. We're going to allow Dr. Cynthia Drake to give her opening remarks on these very concrete observations.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ambassador Roy. And I would like to first thank Mrs. Buluku Johnson for extending the invitation to felicitate with her and EPSS family on the 15th anniversary of EPSS security. And I know it's no doubt a huge feat considering the number of years so many companies are able to survive business terrain in Nigeria. So we hope that the sky will continually be your beginning point. And I wish you best of luck in your endeavor and even in the project you're about to launch today. Then having said that, I want to appreciate the last set of speakers because they've actually laid the foundation for many things we'll be discussing, particularly the keynote speaker, Major General Ejimai. And then I also want to appreciate the fact that I am placed side by side with my senior colleagues in the industry, Dr. Akime, and the Oracle, joining us online. I feel highly privileged for this opportunity. So having said that, I'm speaking on the issues the private security companies are having in Nigeria. Is no news because the private security companies are becoming a normal phenomenon in the midst of other career paths. What do I mean? The last conversation, somebody mentioned the fact that everybody today has become or are becoming security consultants. So even those in the media refer themselves to as security consultants because they discuss security issues or make comments on security issues. So in line with that, that is one of the strongest issues we can make references, or make reference to today, looking at the topic we are addressing. Security has become, a all-commerce affair to everybody. That today, when even those that have a career direction no longer can find their path in that space, the next sector they find themselves feeling comfortably, in is the private security industry. And that has brought a lot of, proliferation of various unlicensed security companies into our space. Many of such are even those who are approved by the House of Assembly, the likes of man from the Ministry of Interior through the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, to operate a licensed, guarding company. So that is one of the issues, we are dealing with as a private security company or the private security sector. One other issue that, comes to mind is the lack of synergy between the government security forces and the private security companies. What you call, a seeming synergy today is that is reinforced by the individual security company between their company and the government security forces. If that personal touch is not there, that recognition that you need to give, that social status that the private security company needs to have anywhere they find themselves in the midst, of other security agencies is still very low. And one other issue is synergy should be that is like a blanket, statement. For example, when during the lockdown, we had the privilege of having the Minister of Interior personally announcing a free movement of all private security companies down. That is kind of blanket opportunity we want to have, where when the committees of security agencies, you know, be it government security forces, private security agencies are called, then the private security companies can have a place. And this will go a long way in reinforcing the third issue I want to mention, which is the societal and social, you know, perspective that people have about security. My people have a common saying that you respect a child depending the way the parents profile the child. Even amongst children vetted by same parents, they begin to identify who has more recognition from the way that one child amongst the pack is being treated by the parents. That is the way it is right now. The image that the private security companies presently cut across the committees of security formation in Nigeria is still very low. And suffice it to say that the records are there that the private security companies form the third largest labor employer in Nigeria today. And these issues that bedeviled our industry, the private security industry, are really mind-boggling, because if we occupy that level at the pyramid, the third in the pyramid of largest employer of labor, then one begins to wonder why that societal and social dysfunction in the mindset of our sector. Yet we contribute not less than, from the figures we got from United Nations, you can check your statistics, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, you can check the records, even the World Bank. We are made to understand that Nigeria contributes about 3.2% to the national revenue and GDP of the country. So why do we have to be placed at that list of the pyramid, where when we speak, it's like the dog is barking without an action? And so many, you know, will be listed thereafter. Let me give the space to others to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that the passion is born out of the participation. She must have been paying taxes without seeing benefits and dividends to the taxes she has been paying. The private industry is actually in a dilemma. And I'm happy that Oga is here to also show us what he has done and where we are. Because there is if we are going to primary 6, we have not even got form for primary 1. So let me give the mic to the doctor, and let's hear from him, sir. Oga Amakri will hold on.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the organizers of this event for this very sound initiative. We look forward to more of such initiatives, because these are platforms that are created for generating ideas that can be used by future administrations, especially in the security industry, to move the industry forward. So, Madam Buduka, I want to thank you for this. It's really very thoughtful of you to set up this kind of event to celebrate your 15th year anniversary. I also congratulate you and the entire EPSS family for 15 years in the business. I also want to thank all panelists that have spoken before us, and specifically the keynote speaker who set the tune and created the agenda, so to speak, for these discussions that we're having today. Now, having said that, this group speaks to the issues that have arisen over the years in the private security industry, the challenges that we have had, and by some way doing what you call a measurement of progress so far. I would like to say that you will agree with me that even though we are not there and we are not close to Uhuru, we're not close to the destination of expectation, but we are not where we used to be. We are not where we used to be. We're looking at about the third or fourth generation of private security companies in Nigeria today. And if you look back in retrospect, you will see that in terms of organization, in terms of cooperation, and in terms of even modus operandi of security companies in present-day Nigeria, there has been a difference. There's been some kind of paradigm shift from the gateman era, borrowing the terms of the keynote speaker, the gateman era, to somewhat more professionalization of the industry. I just want to implore that we have some patience. Patience in the sense that we must understand that we are evolving. Where were we several years ago? We could not even pinpoint and say this is an industry that was functional, that was recognizable by government. But today, we can say we have an umbrella body, we have policies and directions for the industry. We are not there yet, but we already have a focus. And the moment you have a focus, you have a goal. What remains is just to put effort. And it is that effort, that strategy, that I think we are doing. We are at the level of developing and implementing strategy towards arriving at that goal. And what is the goal? The goal is to ensure that the private security sector in Nigeria is highly professional, one, and working in tandem with global trends in the security business. And with that, we'll be looking at an emphasis on the introduction of technology. The goal is to ensure that the issue of self-regulation is taken optimally and enforced properly. The goal is to ensure that at the level of government regulatory agencies, there is the need to ensure that there is proper capacity building for all those that we call regulators for the private security industry at the level of government. That is not in place now from my evaluation and assessment. The goal is that the security industry will be a darling, a toast of even the youth today, that you can create a career trajectory for youth that want to come into the industry, as opposed to now, where we see the private security industry as a stopgap for most of our youth. And that's why we have a very high attrition rate of employees. The goal is to see a situation where the private security industry is recognized by government and forms a tier, another tier of the security architecture of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where it is the arm of the public security agencies. Like I said, there are a lot of ungovernable spaces here in Nigeria. The public security agencies cannot possibly cover everywhere. But we are there at the nooks and crannies of society. And if we are properly harnessed, our numbers are properly harnessed, there's proper training and there's proper integration into the national security architecture, you will find that all of these ungoverned spaces will not exist, so to speak, because we have a huge resource in the private security sector to reach all of these, nooks and crannies of the Nigerian society. So if there's proper collaboration, integration of the private and a legal and institutional framework put in place to ensure the cooperation in the area of operations between public security and private security, I am telling you, the impact on the security of the nation will be overwhelming. And I'm telling you, we'll be able to reduce our national security risk by almost 80%, if not 90%. So there's a vision. There's a vision. All we need to do is to continue to communicate the vision to practitioners in the industry, and then put in place these mechanisms for standardization of practice, and then this collaboration with public security agencies. I'll just stop here as you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I think we are moving faster than I expected. So we'll go back to our online panelists now. And I'll be happy to hear the Oracle's thoughts on policies and legislation, because those are the areas where he has actually played a major role while in service and in retirement. Your time, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Roy. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Okay.
Pleasure.
So, all right. Thank you. And of course, let me thank Buduka for organizing this. I will tell you guys, when first I met her, that was in Port Harcourt. And after, I think there was a conference there. After the conference, she came up and was speaking to me. I said, I don't know you. She said, yes, I know you, but you don't know me. I run a security company. I said, which one is that? She said, the EPSS. I said, EPSS. I've not even heard of them before. Are you based in Port Harcourt? She said, no, we're also based in Lagos. I said, oh, okay. But from that day, I started being in touch with her. And then, of course, I encouraged her because, see, I always want women in this industry. And because of that, you know, in fact, let me doff my hat for Dame Komu, Vicky Komu, who has been the Amazon, who started all this in the female angle. And I remember when I worked with her very closely, when she was regional security president. I was assistant regional security, and when she became senior, I became the regional. So I was very, very closely working with her. And we used to go to assist international events in the United States here. And of course, she's kept on to it. She's kept on to it. We've been encouraging each other. I remember when she was taking her CPP exams, and anytime the result come out, she didn't make it. And I would tell her, don't worry, go ahead. Until she made it. And she was telling me to do mine, but I missed it by 1 mark. And from that day, I refused to do my CPP again, because after all, I have been teaching CPP candidates and they've been becoming CPPs. But thank you for all the women in security. Tanwa, Dr. Greg, Janice, you know, I'm so proud of you guys, because I think it's a paradigm shift whereby before, when we started, it was men alone. I remember maybe Dr. David could remember when we used to have our meeting in Ikeja, and private security guards, MDs, were almost fighting each other because they thought that when the company removed them and take another one, the other one has gone behind to talk about them, you know? So we've come all the way from those days to the present day now, where I think, because then I was telling them, I was a visitor, you know, I was still in service, and they will invite me. I remember Dr. Ekobu of blessed memory will invite me to come to their meetings, and I go there. And of course, I also, Mr. Keku, I was invited me to the private security group. And I used to tell them after all the fights, you know, the field is too wide. It's too wide. And of course, today we can see that people are going into all kinds of areas, training, vulnerability assessment, background checks, as different from guard services, because then everybody was doing guard services. So there is shortage of time, so I will just dash into those bullet points that I want to talk about. And because we've moved from those guard services, we are now moving into a new area, and that area is cybersecurity. You see, we have a convergence. And of course, here in the United States, you discover that most, even adverts for security managers, the requirements are for, people with the background of cybersecurity. So you find out that if you are physical security professional, in the next 2-3 years, you might not even get a job, because if you don't have an idea of cybersecurity, then you've not started yet. The world is moving, especially after the first landmark was 9/11. And then in 9/11, the industry, the total budget of the industry in America was almost about $46 billion. And right now it has overshot, almost double that. And then because of those changes, 2020, we have another situation, the pandemic. And the pandemic has also changed everything. So right now, we are looking at situations where, people are working from home. Yes, physical security is still going on, but of course, you can control remotely all your physical security requirements. And then you find out that the use of technology is very, very paramount now. So we are talking about the future of private security in Nigeria. I congratulate General Ejemai for his keynote address, because he touched on all those policy and legislative things and how we all started. But you see, security as an open market has to be properly regulated, because we are actually still allowing anybody to come in. The regulator is not regulating. The regulator is also a participant, and those kind of things. I've spoken to Dr. Esangbedo that we cannot continue, operate under the fear of these guys. Why don't we even go ahead and sue the NSCDC? Because they cannot be a participant in an industry they are regulating. But I know many companies will, when it comes to NSCDC, we won't know how to shake or rock the boat, okay? So that's fine. You cannot do that. But anyway, let's continue on our own professional level, where we are now moving into the cybersecurity space. And of course, information and intelligence sharing is key, especially when we want to deal with the government security, because I think that's one of the areas that we have to even objectively pursue. There are all the government security agencies, Army, NSC, SSS, all of them are not up to 2 billion. But we have security guards, according to the last information I got, 4 billion security guards in Nigeria. And then, of course, we have about more than 2,000 security companies. And I don't know the budget or, the revenue that is being generated from this particular group, but that's a big one. Now, what are we going to do with all this? Are we still going to be remaining at the man guarding level? Because when we talk of private security, I want to make it known here that most of the private security companies in the United States here are the ones that are producing even the military aircraft for the US government. They are producing all kinds of drones. And then, of course, you're talking of drones. Okay, today I heard that Buduka is going to launch a software, security software. Fantastic. We can continue from there or build on that. Tawa has been using, of course, different kinds of software, but we have to make our own softwares. We have to make our own CCTVs. We have to make our own, even small arms when it comes to criticality. Let's pursue the legislative arm and then see whether they could give the license. And then, of course, you will have people that are wanting to specialize in training, in weapons training, should I say, shooting range, where you can even build it and people will pay to come and learn how to shoot. And these are all new businesses that could come up in what we're talking about. Drones are becoming one of the permanent stays in modern warfare. What are we doing about it? I've seen Nigerian boys who are not even in the university who are doing manufacturing drones. What are we doing? We, the security companies, why can't we even take these boys and train them properly and see how we can manufacture Nigerian-made drones? Put cameras on them, and then, of course, you have a surveillance team out there. So these are all things that are going on, and I think we should cash in on it. And of course, let me see. I think that's basically what I want to talk to you about. Maybe we can take up questions later. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. You know, when you travel abroad so much, remembering drone and technology, we'll get there, sir, very soon. Thank you, sir. So we'll just look at brief closing remarks now because we're actually pressed for time. And we hope that, Madam Buduka, this will not be for the next 15 years, your 30th anniversary. We'd like to see this happen more often than not. So let us go back to our daddy here, Dr. Davison, so that he gives us his closing remarks. So we'll begin to move towards it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I am saying that the future is bright for private security in Nigeria. The myriad of specializations that we have in the industry, they have not been tapped. In fact, only about, say, 10% of specializations in security are tapped in this country. Less than 10%. So the opportunities for advancement and for, like you say in Nigeria, for blowing, say you go blow, the opportunities are just massive. So, but what I want to say is that in order for us to move in leaps and bounds, we need to do things on our own. If you look at the entertainment industry in Nigeria, you will find that Nollywood, and these are boys that, sing, they took the world by storm by looking inwards and doing things on their own. Government was playing catch up. Let's do that for government. Listen, let's, just like he has said, let's leverage technology. Let's explore and exploit all of these other specializations that exist in the industry. Let the association or the associations that regulate security internally, let us be futuristic in our thinking. Come together and do something, Government will play catch up. Unfortunately, the security industry is such that it is tied, it's such a sensitive industry that is tied to the apron strings of government. However, be that as it may, by the time we start running, government will stop working. They will now run to play catch up. I am telling you, we may begin to set the agenda for security, national security in this country. Thank you.
Wow. I like that slogan. When we start running, government is working, they will have to catch up, so they will run also. So let's take the pace, because the truth is that we take the pace or not, the bad eggs actually fall on us. They attack us first before Even if they don't attack you as a CEO, they will attack your staff. The other day, somebody said her staff was coming to work. She was mobbed on the road. You know, my staff is calling me that, oh, see what happened to him. And while he was running, he jumped through the fence, landed on another place, and he was caught by the police. And he was trying to explain that they are robbing our boss this early morning. The police held him until he was able to show his ID card, and they put a call through to me. You know, so no matter where you are, if we don't run and allow the government to run after us, so everybody will be on a fast pace to meet global dynamics and narratives, then we'll also be at that level where we'll be met inside the fracas. So we'll also give Oga Amaki some, like 1 or 2 minutes. I didn't want to say 1 or 2 seconds because he's in like 6 hours. So thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Roy. Well, I think much has been said. A lot of people have contributed beautifully, and I think it's a very, very rich conference here. And of course, one thing I really want to tell you guys is that don't forget technology. Don't forget technology. You know, let me tell you a little simple example. Now that I wanted to talk to you on this webinar, I have to switch off my Alexa. Why? Because Alexa listens to you. I remember the days when we were in service, when we have to go and plant listening devices in a particular target so that we can hear what they are saying and stuff like that. No more. You know, these days, if you really want to listen to what people are saying, you know, connect to that Alexa that is in that place. You know, and Alexa will tell you. You know, if you are in your car, you say, oh, you want to go somewhere, or who was the last person that called you? Alexa will tell you and even tell you some part of the conversation. So if you don't want any of these things out there, AI is listening to you. Artificial intelligence, whereby, you know, you think that you are just in your house talking. Alexa will start programming the television and then show you the kind of movies you like to watch. You know, so let's leverage on most of this new technology that are available in our security jobs. And then, of course, there are much to do. And then, of course, please let us try and encourage those little boys that are developing all these little gadgets. Because in this spy business that we are in, I went to the Spy Museum in Washington. Some of the things they used in those days are little things that just put together. And we can do better than that right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So there was a question. Can we have it up? Okay, so the question is, good afternoon to the panelists. Sama, my question is, what legislations do we have on ground as it concerns the low payment for our guards, and how to sensitize our clients on need to set up? Now, to answer your question, I'm Mr. Isaac Eno. The private security industry has an association called ALPSPN, which is Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners. Is factored into to cover all CEOs of private security practice for man guarding especially. And they have had series of meetings, and each state has been pushing to have their own task force to check for unlicensed companies, quacks, and all that. But it has not been fully established. So you heard what Dr. Davison Akim said concerning all the efforts that are being in place. And I'm sure that very soon, as the national PRO, we are also going to be buying airtime, which is our immediate necessity now, to have sessions where we'll call clients on air. So if we're talking to the human resources managers, if we're talking to the CEOs, we allow them to see that the 70% from the service charge with the private security companies charges is not enough to put the minimum wage on the table of the guards. And it's not even enough for 30,000 as a minimum wage to exist in our current economic crunch. economic crunch is leaping in leaps and bounds, and it's not giving a smiling face to any kind of resources that you can generate. So we are happy for that question, and we are pushing it back to our consumers, the industries, the people that consume our services, that private security practitioners are going to the same market which they go. We buy diesel and fueling for all our power systems as they buy. And we face the irregularity in all the agency of taxing and other tax forces that come around. Sometimes vehicles that go on patrol assist, you have to go and pay money to get it out. That is from your 30%. Sometimes the guards are arrested, you have to go and bail them. Sometimes clients won't pay. We have clients that are owing us up to 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. And you know, there are some organizations that have factored in maybe government agencies, and you are hoping that they will pay. And before you know, you have run into deficit, and the banks will leave you at limbo. So a lot of crisis going on, but we are sure that we'll begin to open the spaces to discuss about revenues for the security guards. So thank you. I hope, sir, I answered that, sir. All right, sir. So, madam, we would like to have your closing remarks. I purposely put you at the end so that we'll have that feminine voice letting us stand up in our normal spot. Thank you. Oh, Sir Dennis.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just a quick one. That question that the Isaac Eno asked, I think as I found out, through my years in private security, that is becoming a big problem where people don't know how to cost, or should I say, cost their contract or pay their guards. You find out that people will be paying 20,000 naira, to a guard for a month. In fact, indirectly, you're encouraging him to go and steal. So the method, and this was a method that I introduced to a lot of companies that have worked with me, and it's simple. Before you collect a contract, you do a risk assessment of that company. What are you guarding? What are the valuables that you are guarding? You put them together, and then, of course, use the value of that and then divide it in such a way that you know how much to pay the guards, how many guards you are going to put on this job, how you are going to pay them so that they earn a reasonable salary. So you can see that the guard at Mr. Biggs is earning less than the guard at ExxonMobil. For obvious reasons. It's not just because he's working in an oil company, but what he's guarding is different from what the Mr. Biggs guard is doing, because Mr. Biggs might just be opening doors and closing doors. So you, the security company owners, will have to think about this. Don't just go there and then bring up a figure up your head. I want this amount. And some people have had a situation where some contractors will say, oh no, I want to pay them lesser if what I quoted is too high. I said, then you didn't do your risk assessment. So this is the rule of thumb that they could use in determining the pay that you will pay a guard, depending on the location that they are guarding. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure because Oga said to a large extent.
I just want to say something. Thank you, Mr. Makri, for that contribution. You see, on the ground, the ideal sometimes is different from that which is practiced. What Mr. Makri just said now is the ideal. You do your evaluation, risk assessment, and based on that, you quote for your contract. But I'll tell you that when you look at the demographics, in Lagos, for example, where you have, companies that are high profile, high flying, and they are able to pay certain amounts. When you go to Yola in Adamawa State, or you go to Yobe in Yobe State, you will see a company that pays its guards maybe 10,000 naira. But you cannot pay a guard 10,000 in Lagos. No. So at the level of the industry, of the association, what we are trying to say is let us peg a minimum wage below which no guard company should pay or take a contract. A minimum wage. And then you now begin to say, based on the economics of the locale, for example, income in Adamawa State, businesses in Adamawa State, and businesses in Lagos don't end the same. So, and the cost of living in Adamawa State is not like the cost of living in Lagos State. So, let there be an agreement at the level of the industry amongst the CEOs, northeast, northwest, so place. How much do we agree as the minimum amount below which nobody, no contractor should collect in business? Because if you want to use the threshold of Lagos, say, okay, no contractor should collect any business that pays less than 60K or 70K. So nobody, we have no security company or security guarding company will have business in Sokoto. No, so we need to be practical. You know, we need to face the realities on the ground and then just create what you call workable systems, agreeable, acceptable amongst ourselves. And then we can be able to push forward. Then there is the issue of the highly competitive nature of the industry. You are not collecting 60K because of your threat assessment. Another company is going to, he said, even if it's 40K, give me, I will collect. Don't mind those people, they don't chop telephone. But now it is the responsibility of the association to create what you call a level playing field and also to draw a line and to enforce it. It's one thing to draw a line, it's another thing to enforce it. So that's where self-regulation comes in. That's my contribution.
I want to say something. I'm purposely keeping her last because she's going to give her closing remarks, but she's the National Secretary, Assistant General Secretary for the association. So all of these things that we are saying, that's why I'm going there last. So you won't go and say National PRO, you were there. You are Assistant General Secretary. You should carry your paper, write a report back to the ESCO and say this was what elders said. We should begin to look at the sections of the country, the economic basis of the country, and begin to agree as association to put financial figures. So thank you. We're going to give you to speak now on issues, policy, legislation, and your thoughts on some of the arguments in 1 second. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Gentlemen, because in security, we are all men, and that's why we keep saying monster, monster to everybody. You see, the more we speak, the more it boggles my mind if truly we've come a long way. We can, even as Dr. Davidson was speaking further, I still saw him listing the issues we are having with regulations. And then how do we juxtapose this with the statement of the fact that we've come a long way? A long way with how many years have we been regulated by the regulatory body? Go to Dubai. I was opportune to visit Dubai in 2020, and I studied a little on their private security processes. And I can tell what regulation really is. Is it regulation where you have a benchmarked price for every stakeholder in the industry? And then we expect people to differentiate upward, not downward. But there is no enforcement. How far have we come when a company like EPSS is counting 15 years today, and we can see what it means to be 15 years in the sector? But we have been as an industry for over 15 years. Even a child that is born in 1986, when we had the first, act, we can tell how many years that child would be today. So how really far have we come? So for me, we are still moving at a very slow snail speed as an organization, as an industry within the private security industry. We are still moving at a very slow speed. So many issues that boggles the mind, so many issues that are mentally draining. From left, right, center, it seems there is no solution any day because there is no enforcement. Some of these legislations are actually there. The regulatory body is there, but what about the enforcement? I make an instance. Then, in the days of Society for Security Practitioners of Nigeria, SSPN, when we were at Anthony then, I wasn't a CEO of a security company, but I managed at the level of a general manager and the chief operating officer, a private security company. So at that time, owing to what the Oracle said, that there were no ladies, I was coming for the meeting on behalf of the security company I was representing at that time. So I was always there, but not as a CEO. And I recall then, there was a benchmark fee of 25,000 naira as far back as 2006 as a minimum salary payable to a security guard. But I can tell you it was never enforced, because I still know till today there are so many security companies who still pay their guards far below 26,000 naira, not just in Lagos State, but in so many other states. Now, in the last Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria, Lagos chapter meeting that we had, last month, there was again a benchmark fee as a recommendation from the committee that was asked to look at the fee payable in Lagos. And the benchmark fee again came to 35,000 naira. We started enforcing that. So as a closing remark, we have so many troubling issues bedeviling the operation of the private security company. And until we find that political will to deal with them, it is that political will that will also push us, if we are to run on our own and begin to allow the regulatory body to chase after us. It is that political will that will help us to push our position rightly before the regulatory body and before the supervisory ministry, demanding the processes for employment of in-house security guards that are proliferating everywhere and encouraging the expansion of the private security industry professionally. That there should be incumbent statutory documentation and qualification for which any of them should be hired, and they should even be licensed as even individuals that should operate within the industry. So we can go on and on because the issues are too many, meaning that we still have a long way to go. We've not even started.
Yeah.
So that is why, yes, we can take that campaign. I'm aware you have picked his form. You picked your presidential form, sir. Have you picked your presidential form? So we want you, we want to throw that back to you. So please, like you did in the last electoral year, please let's have a member of us, coming out, testing out to bid for that process. So in all, as a closing remark, I want us as CEOs of various private security companies, we need that, synergy amongst ourselves. It is that synergy that gives the regard to one another's stake that we maintain when we find ourselves during interview sessions. It is that synergy that defines how we go justly for businesses that have no reason being terminated in the first instance because we want to have those businesses. It is those synergy, that defines how we respect our other CEOs by not planting security gas in the midst of their workforce, of the other security companies' workforce, to pick information and sell to your company to enable you bid for the job of that security company. We have the rules that say, we have the regulations that says that any security company who does that will be brought to book But how many have you actually brought to book? So many companies, security companies, have been owed on termination of their contract. They are not able to get the payment. A new security company takes over the job and no enforcement. So, as a closing remark, as an association, there's a lot to do. As a regulatory body, we are still crawling. So I call on our regulatory body to please rise up. A lot is being done, I agree. A lot has been achieved, I agree. But there's a whole lot that we are yet to do. And we need to get to that destination level so that the international bodies who are watching at slow speed can come and learn from us. They can come and become proud of what we are doing in Nigeria. And I know that someday we'll definitely get there. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Me, I've learned something today. If I don't want to be disturbed, I will say, finally, in conclusion, finally, you know. So, is there a mic there? Okay. So, we'll also hold on to hear a final remark from the keynote speaker. General, sir.
Sorry, I have to come up again. I've listened to the whole discussion, and I think my keynote provoked a whole lot of things. But the major point I want to say here is pushing regulation. From what you are saying, even everything as an association, even if it's an self-regulation, if you don't have any force of law, if you don't have any force of law, you cannot compel nobody. As it is today, it's a social organization. It is people who willingly come to join it and say this. If they say go, you cannot take anybody to court. So that's why I try to distinguish between the different types of regulation. ICANN is a body recognized by law. NBA is a body recognized by law. They are self-regulating. So anybody that misbehaves, they can discipline that professionally. ASPN, you cannot discipline. You are registered as a corporate body, but it does not have Nigerian Act supporting your actions. Anybody can go to court. Every of your action will be null and void. That's the point I'm trying to make. The second point I'm trying to make, so that we see where the gap is, where the lacuna is when we are making this argument. Like I said, any social club can go and register with what do you call it? And it is voluntary. And that's why you see all these altercations. Anybody can go to court and declare any of the things null and void. Even people owing you money, because you don't have a platform, the legal platform, you cannot sue them to court. You can only sue them to court on general basis, breach of contract and that kind of thing. Yes. But what the present situation is, we only have what we call licensing authority regulation. That is what NC is doing. And that's what the Act specifies. It cannot go beyond that. So what we are expecting, or what we are trying to expect, is beyond just licensing. Licensing only guard mining companies, not the overall private security spectrum. So we must get it right. I must also make the people on even the authority understand that this is it. So that everybody, when we are talking to, because what is happening is that sometimes some of our arguments in front of this board, it's not stemmed from even research. They are not evidence-based. You cannot make arguments based on sentiments, on emotions, and that kind of thing, and which is what is happening. It must be evidence-based. So even the ASPS, as I'm sitting, the way I see the whole thing, it's, anybody can take you to all these things you are saying, you sit down and say, do this. No. That's the point I want to try to make, so that we'll get it going forward. So that those people who are trying to take advantage of the current situation and say, let us not go beyond that level, should understand that it is an ill will that blows no one no good. It might be good for you today, it might not be good for you tomorrow. So let's be open about this discussion. Let's have more of this discussion. Let's create a critical mass of people who understand the issues and that kind of thing, so that we will know where it is. Like I said, regulation, legal backing. I've given you examples. You go to Advertising Corporation of Nigeria, they have there's an act.
ACON that I work with them. There's an act. So, as professionals, for you to go to what do you call it? Yes, even the medical field. Yeah, that's why they will call a doctor and seize license because they have an act for that self-regulation. Even self-regulation, you need an act because you cannot just bring somebody to say you come and punish it for what when you cannot enforce anything when you don't have the force of law. So I think that's the last point. The point I'm trying to make so that we'll get it going forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, if for no other reason, the aroma of the rice is enough to make us start saying other things that we didn't plan to say. So at this juncture, we drop the mic and we move to item 7. For those of you online, I wish you were here. Thank you very much.